everyone, welcome to today's tutorial. So in this video, actually, this is not going to be a tutorial. So excuse the word tutorial that I just used. I'm so used to saying that word. So in this video, I will be showing you how you can actually use different elements to make graphics for your social media, right? So as a graphic designer, as I had also mentioned in my previous videos, that it's really important to have all your work put up on social media such as Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and probably even have your own website, or probably have your own portfolio up on Behance or Dribbble as well, right? So that's a different thing. But for example, you're going to focus on making a graphic specifically for a social media page, right? So for an Instagram or for Facebook or LinkedIn as well. So there are a few criteria that you have to remember while making your graphic, right? So the first one being high resolution photos. And as an example, I've used these two images as well. So it's highly important that when you are making a post, you either download high resolution images from dependable websites, or even better, if possible, click your own photos from a professional camera, such as those really big fancy DSLRs, or probably even from your phone. But in case if you're not very good at clicking photographs as well, you could even hire a professional photographer, provided you are willing to pay for it as well. So that's the thing. So you have to use high resolution photos, because if you use a photo with lesser resolution photos, then it's not going to look too great, and in case if you enlarge it, it's going to become too blurry or even pixelated, and it's going to look very unprofessional on your page as well. So even if you are downloading any high resolution photos, it's highly important that you make sure that it's not copyrighted as well, right? So in case if someone's already has put their marks, like you must have seen that some photographers or some websites, they'll put their logo or they'll put their name somewhere on the image as well. So don't do that. Don't use any image that's copyrighted, because if you do it, there's a high chance that you might you will get into trouble. So it's best is that you design your own graphic in Illustrator or Photoshop, or you click your own photos, or plan C would be getting in touch with that person or that brand who have posted that photo, and you get their permission to use that photo as well, right? So that's one thing. And another thing you also have to see is that before you post any graphic, you also have to see for which platform you are going to be posting it for. Usually for Instagram and Facebook, there is a certain layout and certain dimension you have to follow. So it's usually posted in a really big square format. Usually it's 1000 by 1000 pixels. I mean, that's what I usually use. But for Pinterest, it's always vertical. So it's always best you also check out the exact dimensions for each post on which social media page is going to be posted on, right? So that was one. The high resolution photos is highly important, so keep these pointers in mind. Now second coming here to the font styles, right? So it's just as each person has a unique personality, even fonts have a certain personality as well. So depending on what type of message you're trying to portray to your audience, you have to use the fonts accordingly, right? So another couple of more pointers you have to make sure while using fonts is that firstly, it has to be readable. So for example, as you can see here in this motivational poster, the background is of a lighter color shade, right? whereas the text used right over here, the color of this text is in a darker shade, so it's becoming a lot easier for us to read as well. Secondly, the style of font, like the font style, right? So as you can see that whoever's made this motivational poster, they have used only two types of fonts as well. So this first one is a little cursive, it's a little cursive types, and this one is a very generic type of a font as well. So when you are designing your own graphic, it's highly important that you use either max to max 3 fonts in one post max. Otherwise, if you play around with a little too many fonts, then again it's going to look very sloppy and very unprofessional as well. Okay, now coming to the next third one, images which have a text, right? So this is something very similar to the previous one, which was the font style. So what this means is that images with, you have a certain image and you want to add text as well. So you have to make sure that both the text and the image are balancing each other. They are both in harmony, right? So as you can see right here, even though they've done, like, this poster is in a very simple way and it's depicted really beautifully. So this is one thing, and you also have to see that over here, like all the basic alignment, what type of colors to use in each text, and just in case, another pointer is that just in case if your image has a face of a person or a face of an animal, it's highly recommended that you keep the text away from the face, and so that it's readable as well. So a lot of the pointers actually do interloop with this one as well. The fonts you use has to be readable and has to be related to the message you're trying to convey, right? So this was this. So you have to also make sure that it's aligned properly. You're keeping, so there's equal amount of margin space left all around, and the type of font you're also trying to use. Okay. And now coming to the fourth one, which is using this one. This is again a movie poster. So this is a movie poster where they've used one solid color for the background instead of a background with a lot of patterns at the back, right? So the biggest advantage of using a color background is that it's much more cleaner and it looks much more professional as well. Whereas graphic backgrounds, it's a really good choice to be used as well, but it can also manipulate your post, and it's very, very important that you have to balance your background along with the images you are using as well. So in that matter, balancing the graphic background with the content becomes a little difficult as long as you know how you want to actually balance everything out, right? So usually a lot of the graphic designers, they prefer using one simple plain color background because it's a lot easier to work with and it's a lot easier to balance out the content as well. Okay, now coming to the last one, which is the focal point. So in the focal point, usually, again, a really good example would be movie posters. So the focal point basically means where you want your viewers' attention to be at, right? So as soon as I look at this, the first thing I see is this eyeball inside this lip, and then I see this blood trickling down, and then I see this text right here on the chin, which says a theater bazaar, and then this text over here, and the last one, the text on the top as well. So in a way, hierarchy also plays an important role here. The most prominent one you want your audience to look at will be the biggest and will be more prominent and dominant that way. So that's the reason why the designer behind this poster has made the lip and the eyeball the most prominent one right there. That's because that's our focal point going right there. So even in advertisements up on social media as well, you must have seen while scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, usually what will happen is that logos will be at the top corner as well. Top corner, or or basically it'll be just in smaller insides. That's because we usually do not give the focal point on the logo too much. We want our viewers to see what we are trying to convey, what's the message we're trying to convey, and whichever information is the most important, we make that more dominant as well. So that's about it. So this was also the focal point. So I hope you found this video to be useful. And if you keep these pointers in mind, then it'll be a lot easier for you to also design your social media graphics and social media graphics and be very professional with your designs as well. So thank you for watching and stay tuned for more.